Hey Doobs, welcome to another fascinating episode of Final Thoughts with Doob here. Yeah, today we are talking about the summer fun fish-filled game Maneater, developed by Tripwire Games, and actually published by Deep Silver, the guys that did Dead Island back in the day. It even has some Dead Island vibes, a little bit, just as with the look and especially the opening of the game here. But yeah, this was a nice little surprise, a nice little breakup from all of the blockbusters we've been getting this summer in 2020. We've been getting some great games that have really taken our mind off things with all the craziness happening. But yeah, let's jump right into the ocean here with Maneater. Wow, I'm just kind of surprised. I saw rumblings of this game last year about this Shark PG coming out, as I've donned it here, or probably many people have called it here. It is considered a action role-playing game, and so yeah, I was actually kind of just surprised by the presentation. I wasn't really sure going in exactly what I was getting myself into here, but I'm very surprised and very happy with the product that Tripwire has produced for us here. They developed Killing Floor and Killing Floor 2, some free PSN or cheap PSN titles, budgeted titles. This is a budgeted title as well here, so I just want to make note of that, and especially with all the sales going on, days of play just about around the corner, this game will probably even lower than the $40 price tag. And I love it when the game really reflects itself from the budget title. I gotta give especially Tripwire a huge shout out to price the game accordingly and not take a too big bite out of us. I'm gonna just keep going with the fish puns here during this, but yeah, not too big a bite of us. They price the game accordingly. Yeah, and you'll pretty much have your regular roto of RPG elements. This is a open world or open water game. As you can tell here, you actually start very small. This is some late game footage I'm showing you here, and there's many builds that you can actually craft your shark into with different abilities. Even though somewhat limited, it is really nice to see all the different ways that your function and fashion affect your shark and how it grows. You start off as an infant. There is a story to this game. When I'm talking about being surprised, I actually really like the inclusion of a somewhat heartfelt story at moments. There is cutscenes, albeit not very long ones. It is a pretty basic story at its heart, and it just kind of trails along the A to B to C to D to A to B to C to D gameplay that you'll be getting here. But yeah, I did like that they had some sort of human element, and so yeah, I just want to say that this game feels fun, it feels fresh. There was a very surprisingly good narrative that kind of just tags along all the gameplay here, and really, it's really the game where it's better than it's greater than the sum of its parts here. It kind of looks basic when I've been playing it. I could notice that if they didn't have a great soundtrack and a very great audio and musical presentation just all around, I was always felt a little sorry when you could hear the people screaming when you're attacking groups of people, and the great wildlife inclusion as you go from different areas of the game. You'll find different wildlife and sea life and things to explore. So I really do like the overall look of the game here. It's kind of like a AAA goat simulator, if that makes any sense. There's kind of just a silliness and a wackiness in a free form to it that you'd find in games like Goat Simulator or maybe even Farm Simulator, but they really went the extra mile of just adding more of a presentation feel that really does make it feel of more of a complete package. I got to give a huge shout out to the narrator of this game that really does add great elements of humor and really kind of just breaks up the sound and the gameplay a little bit. Otherwise, I think it'd be a little more tedious without this narrator giving really funny tidbits of facts, of sharks, of life, and real just shore and ecosystem fun facts about things. I really enjoyed it, although they did kind of tag along a little bit when you're doing the same action. It got a little repetitive there, but really does make the game overall just a lot more enjoyable. And I love that the silliness aspect of to it. There's a goofiness here. It doesn't take itself too seriously, but it's just a really fresh experience. I'm a huge fan of shark movies and aquatic marine biology life, so I really was kind of just excited to see how this game was going to turn out ultimately, and with the evolution and just all the different enemies. There's really cool boss battles. You'll get bounties, and yeah, it's really not a pushover game. It will challenge you. Albeit that somewhat of the clunkiness, the controls are a little awkward. It takes a little getting used to. You will get better the more you play it, but there really are some things that it's just a game design where you'll get some kookiness going on, and you'll kind of just have to take the pill and swallow it just to keep your enjoyment of the game without looking at it too hard. But it's definitely doable, definitely manageable, because when you're just swimming around, feeling like a boss shark and slowly evolving, and yeah, I mean there are areas you can't get too far ahead. There's going to be enemies that you're going to have to grow and evolve, and there's a very rinse, recycle, repeat gameplay loop here. Again, that kind of helps tag along with the story and the narrator. But yeah, I just really like the experience. I was really excited to see what the shark would look like next. I was even kind of curious to see kind of where the story was going, and it's it's like a show type experience, kind of like you'd see on like a National Geographic or just like a film documentary type story, but with a father and a son relationship. There's a little bit of heartfelt moments here, so I was just kind of excited to see where they take it. There are some fun bounties, some mini bosses that appear if you terrorize the town and the sea too much. I wish they put a little more character, maybe some little more backstory in some of these added characters, but again, it was just nice that they were there, that they were included, and that it was a smart way to kind of include some more battles aside from human battles, and then aside from the wildlife. You'll be fighting orcas and alligators and pretty much all the beasts of the sea that you can think of. And I'm actually really curious to see, since Tripwire did a Killing Floor 2, if they'll do a Maneater 2. I think there's just some really exciting things I think that could be expanded upon here. But from the first try into the first foray, there's no BS here. I really was thinking about this game, about the score and just what it had in its value, and I just got a hand off to Tripwire for not adding any microtransactions or anything that really would harm the game's score. I mean, the only there's a couple down. I mean, this being budget title, you're gonna get your jankiness. I kind of let that go just for the sake of having fun with the game. It's an arcadey experience where you'll just kind of sit down and have fun and not really have to think too hard about your doing, but the controls and the camera can definitely work against you in some instances, especially when traveling, trying to get away from certain enemies, or but it really does add an intensity and excitement when you're just trying to survive and live, and the game doesn't punish you too hard when you die. The narrator just kind of laughs it off, and you start at a grotto or your bonfire, if you will, and you'll just have fun and you'll just continue on with your journey. So I love it when a game doesn't really hurt you too much for dying, just because games are meant to be challenging. They're meant to be trial and error. They're really meant to push you and make you grow and get better. So this is why it's great to have it kind of more of an arcadey RPG experience that just kind of keeps the pace going and the flow going. And again, I was just really surprised with my overall enjoyment of. It's very hard to resist just going in and attacking a group of people or some boats just to have fun. I did just beat this game recently. I completed the whole game. I even platinumed it in the same run. And it's just a fun little thing to swim around and kind of do the activities. Although it does kind of wear thin towards the end. This game really is how much you want to put into it. As I mentioned, there is a limited number of evolutions that your shark can undergo, but you can really do, you can kind of attach different armor pieces and really make your shark your own. But you know, they kind of encourage you to pretty much stick with one base type and get those added goodies and bonuses for equipping an armor set, if you will. But yeah, aside from the clunky combat, it just feels like there is some padding here. You know, you got to go devour these group of animals or devour these humans, and then there's some boss battles. So again, really the wash, rinse, repeat of the gameplay there. But you know, this being a budget title, it was a great first stab, and I love that you get to play as a shark, and there's even you kind of get connected with your shark a little bit, and you kind of follow its story. It's a little bit of a tragedy, and again, it still doesn't really take itself too seriously, but there's very great added brownie points here for trying and for making. I'd say it could have been worse. You know, the story here could have been worse. There's not a lot of it, but the game does need it does what it needs to do to keep it trailing along, and I really just appreciated that. I really appreciate that this game does have a day and night cycle. It's really cool seeing your shark in darker waters, and then it's really cool when the game kind of lights up and really lets you see kind of some of the smaller details in the town and the things going on in the background. Yeah, this is also a game that has great references. There's a lot of cool places to travel to within the sea, including SpongeBob, Lord of the Flies, and even Arrested Development. This game is very aware of pop culture, and again, that kind of really does play into the narrator. That makes the experience just all more free-flowing and a lot more enjoyable. And there's some, you know, basic Metroidvania elements in here. As you get bigger, you can access different parts of certain segments, and you can just go back, and there is a fast travel. The open worldness is pretty big. It's nothing super crazy, but it gives you just enough to explore, and once you get bigger, they give you some goodies to come back. Although it's kind of, the pacing of this game is a little weird, because you can kind of figure out how to exploit enemies and kind of play it really quickly and fast, and you don't really need to get the upgrades once you come back. I mean, really, the only reason you'd want to come back to collect everything is to just maybe check out the other evolutions, even when you beat the game, or to just do it for the platinum's sake and collecting everything's sake. I think because I was max level kind of almost midway through the game, and then I was just kind of devouring everything. So the pacing could have just been tweaked, perhaps a little bit there. But, you know, it was still fun, and it still kind of felt awesome just being the boss, just taking on things, and, again, just having fun with all the people. And it gets me every time hearing the people scream underwater, as cruel and as terrifying it might be. And again, as you can kind of see here, there's a lot of loading. I'm playing on PS4 Pro again. This game is out on Xbox One X and Xbox One X and a PC, by the way. You can get this on Steam again. Pretty much budgeted title at $40, and if you wait a little bit, I'm sure this game is going to be going on sale, which will even justify the price of this even more, because at the end of the day, I mean, all the clunkiness and take some time to get used to the controls aside, this is a very fun, a very fresh fin tuna experience. And just really seeing some wildlife, and the underwater battles are really gritty and gnarly, and there's a lot of things. You're always kind of on edge, and especially if you play this game with headphones, it really does add a whole new layer. Underwater is always a mystery, and there's some very fun mysteries here, and going in the caves. And if you're playing, I don't think this game is a PS4 Pro enhanced, but it is a very exciting experience. So at the end of the day, I had to give this, all said and done, an 8 out of 10. Just because of the budgeted price. It really does give you your money's worth, and that really does just play a huge role in my decision to handing out. You know, I was kind of thinking, really deciding between a 7 and 8, but again, this game really is greater than the sum of its parts at the end of the day, and should really be experienced for a fun summer foray game to keep you tided over until we get even bigger titles like Last of Us and Ghost of Tsushima right around the corner. So thank you so much, Doobs. And
The
as
core
always,
mind is also
we'll be
called
right back with the next final thoughts.